What if the reason you feel stuck is because you're chasing the wrong idea of progress? What if every productivity hack, every 5-year plan, every self-help podcast is quietly convincing you that who you are is not enough? You wake up, open your phone, and are immediately hit with someone else's success, a new job, a new body, a new relationship. It's as if everyone is moving forward and you're standing still. So you try harder. You hustle, journal, manifest, optimize, and still feel hollow. Why? Because progress, the way we've been taught to define it, is a myth, a psychological trap. The idea that life must always ascend in a straight, upward line is a modern invention, one that ignores how humans really grow. We've replaced purpose with productivity, fulfillment with forward motion, growth with grind. But the truth, most meaningful forms of progress aren't visible. They aren't measurable. They don't fit into spreadsheets or glow-up reels. In fact, some of the greatest transformations happen in silence, in breakdowns, in stillness. Today, we're going to dismantle the illusion of progress and rebuild it piece by piece. We'll go back in time to ancient Greece and Buddhist monasteries. We'll dig through the writings of Nietzsche, Carl Jung, and neuroscientific discoveries. And by the end, you may not just redefine your goals, you may redefine your life. This is not a motivational video. This is an excavation of the lies we've been fed, of the systems we internalized, of the voices that told us we must become something more to matter. But what if you're not behind? What if progress isn't about climbing higher, but going deeper? Let's begin. What if the way you think about success, growth, and life itself was designed centuries ago by men who never knew your name? We rarely question the water we swim in, the belief that life must constantly improve, that every year should be more productive than the last, that we must always strive, climb, hustle. That belief is roots, and they're not as ancient as you might think. Let's rewind to the 17th century, the birth of the scientific revolution. Descartes declared, "I think, therefore I am," and in doing so, severed the mind from the body. The world, once full of myth and mystery, became a machine to be measured, calculated, optimized. Progress, once a spiritual journey, became a mechanical one. By the 18th century, the Enlightenment began to harden this vision. Thinkers like Auguste Comte proposed that human society evolves in stages, from superstition to religion to science, from primitive to civilized, from feeling to reason. That idea, linear progress from low to high, from old to new, became the skeleton of modern civilization. Industrial capitalism soon followed. Time was money. Work was identity. Machines didn't rest, and neither should you. You became part of a system that mistook acceleration for direction. But here's the paradox. The more we bought into this myth of linear progress, the more fragmented we became. We stopped asking the deeper questions. What am I moving toward? Is this growth or just expansion? By the 20th century, psychology itself got pulled into the orbit of productivity. Behaviorism reduced humans to input-output machines. Self-help became corporatized. Even healing had to be efficient. But the system didn't care for that truth. It had trains to run, economies to grow, charts to rise. So we adapted. We internalized it. Now we chase a future that never arrives. We feel guilty when we rest. We measure our worth in numbers, followers, steps, dollars, grades. We climb a ladder we didn't build. And the tragedy? We confuse all this motion for meaning. Real progress, the kind that changes who you are, not just what you own, is rarely linear. It's messy, cyclical, personal, and somewhere deep down, you already know that. What does it do to the human mind to never feel like enough? The modern idea of progress isn't just about innovation or improvement. It's about more. More efficiency, more productivity, more success. Always climbing, never arriving. This isn't just a philosophy, it's a psychological blueprint, one that rewires our self-worth. Psychologist Carl Rogers once wrote that when self-worth is tied to conditions of worth, we become addicted to external validation. We begin to believe, I am only valuable if I am improving. So we optimize, we track, we push. But that optimization quickly becomes obsession. This mindset is deeply linked to hedonic adaptation, a psychological phenomenon where the pursuit of happiness leads us back to baseline. We reach a goal and immediately chase the next. Psychologists call it the treadmill effect. You got the job, you bought the car, you reached 100K followers, and yet something still aches. Why? Because growth is now compulsive, not conscious. Capitalist culture feeds this loop. Every ad whispers, you're behind. Every scroll shows someone faster, richer, younger. Every morning, we wake up to algorithms designed to make us feel less. And in response, we chase more. More money, more content, more improvement, more metrics. Even our mental health is turned into a productivity project. Meditate to boost focus. Journal to enhance discipline. Go to therapy so you can work harder. When healing becomes another checkbox, something is broken. But the pressure to progress doesn't just harm individuals. It creates a culture of anxiety. We compare relentlessly. We fear stillness. We see rest as laziness. We mistake burnout for success. Behind every overachiever is often a scared child, trying to earn love through performance. And here's the brutal truth. A life built entirely on progress can become a life without presence. You become so focused on where you're going that you forget to be where you are. What happens when the ladder we've been climbing leads nowhere? There's a haunting emptiness that creeps in, not from failure, but from succeeding in a system that never asked who you truly are. You followed the rules. You hit the milestones. You did everything right. And yet you feel hollow. This is the dark side of progress, when it becomes detached from meaning. When we measure life only in outcomes, we begin to forget why we're living at all. We're told to grow, but not how to grow. We're told to succeed, but not why. In this vacuum of meaning, toxic progress emerges. It's the kind that devours time without reflection, that fills calendars but empties hearts, that mistakes speed for direction. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, a survivor of the Holocaust, warned against this very illusion. He observed that modern people suffer not from lack of resources, but from lack of meaning. He called it the existential vacuum. And so we distract, with dopamine, with achievement, with noise. We seek progress and titles, trophies, and timelines, anything to avoid sitting with the silence of our unmet selves. But there's something even deeper. Many of us carry inherited definitions of progress, not chosen, absorbed. Our parents, teachers, cultures handed us a script, one that said, grow up, get a degree, make money, get married, be better than before. But rarely did they ask, do you feel whole? Do you feel free? Progress, when rooted in comparison, creates chains. We live life in competition with people who aren't even aware they're in our race. And worst of all, we begin to see ourselves as broken when we rest, slow down, or change course. But here's the paradox. Real growth often looks like stopping, like grieving, like letting go, like not progressing in the eyes of the world, but finally becoming honest with yourself. Progress is not a treadmill. It is not a race. It is not a metric. It is a return to your values, to your voice, to your inner pace. So, what if we've been chasing the wrong kind of progress all along? What if growth was never meant to be about perfection, but about presence? In a world that worships linear success, true progress is often invisible. It's the decision to heal instead of hustle, to reflect instead of react, to feel instead of perform. In ancient philosophies, especially in Eastern traditions, progress wasn't measured by material gain, but by inner alignment. Laozi, the founder of Taoism, taught that the way forward often begins with stillness. He said, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." Compare that to the West's obsession with productivity, where even our leisure is monetized, optimized, and scheduled. But something is shifting. Today, more people are asking, who am I becoming in the process of achieving? Because if success costs your health, your soul, your authenticity, can it still be called success? Modern psychology now supports this redefinition. Post-traumatic growth shows us that even in pain, there's profound evolution, not measured in resumes, but in resilience. And neuroscience confirms, the brain doesn't grow just from efficiency, but from meaning, from struggle, from reflection, from stillness. Maybe the most radical form of progress is self-acceptance. To look at your unfinished, imperfect, evolving self and say, "I'm still enough." Because here's the truth they don't tell you. Progress is not always loud. It doesn't always look impressive. It doesn't need to be posted, praised, or proven. Sometimes it looks like turning off your phone, taking a breath, saying no, letting go, or simply being. The future of progress isn't just technological or external. It's deeply personal. It's reclaiming the right to define growth on your own terms, not through algorithms, not through timelines, not through anyone else's voice, but through your own. So the next time you feel behind, ask yourself, am I really behind, or am I just becoming? We began with a question, what is progress? Not the kind they sell in self-help books or measure in quarterly goals, but the kind that whispers through silence, that lives in the cracks of your healing, that appears only when you're brave enough to pause. You see, real progress doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it's walking away from what doesn't align. Sometimes it's saying yes to yourself for the first time. Sometimes it's surviving a season that was meant to break you. It's subtle. It's sacred. It's yours. We live in a world addicted to becoming more. But what if the answer isn't becoming more? It's becoming whole. The truth is, you are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are unfolding in your own way, at your own pace, by your own design. So, don't just chase progress. Redefine it. Reclaim it. Because in the end, the most meaningful progress is not measured by how far you've gone, but by how deeply you've come home to yourself. This is the meaning of progress.